Good morning, Creative Writing Cardinals. This is Miss Wall for March 15th, 2021, and we are beginning a new unit today. If you would follow along with me on the Canvas homepage. What I haven't read is what's going on moving forward. You are required to speak when spoken to, whether it be unmuted or you respond with typed text in the chat. Points will be deducted from your score overall if you do not participate in this. It is week 11 for us, and our goal is beginning the poetry unit. If you scroll down, you'll see that the winners of the writing contest have been selected. Please today make sure you congratulate Shakir, Muhammad, Nicholas Rains, and our first place winner, Jayla Hoover. Congratulations, winners, and you see the direction that is there at the bottom. Send me that as soon as you can. Next, we will go to modules. We will scroll down until we get to week 11, and that is March 15th through 19th, poetry unit. And the first thing we'll touch on is how to read poetry. This is a video embedded, and this is from an English teacher who, like most students and most staff, they end up having to teach poetry and they don't like it. So they have no real way of learning how to teach you. Well, with this semester, you will find that is not the case. I am an English teacher as well as a history teacher who has had poems published, plus, I enjoy and love poetry. I am the advisor of Barry Spitz, where we use spoken word therapy as a means of relaxation and expression. So the thing is, you sometimes have to teach the kids how to read it. So this is a video that I want you all to watch. First, it has 9 steps. You need to make sure you write those steps down in your notes. Once you're done watching this video, then you come to the notes that you need to document in your notebook. So Unit 3 basically is introducing you to the idea that poetry is our next topic. April is National Poetry Month, and I put a link here from the National Poetry Foundation. I want you to click and use that link throughout this whole process. Anytime you want to, you are allowed to click this link and just be in tune with this site. I want everybody to be in tune with this website. Um, we will end up having to use it at some other time. Okay? Poetry, you've all heard of it. You felt it was a waste of time. You didn't want to try to understand it. You were against it being rhymey or too much nature talk. Or you got tired of the teacher asking you, what was the writer trying to convey? You didn't want to compare mood. You didn't want to look for the tone. You didn't care about the symbolism. Well, those are the things that end up making people miss the point on what poetry can truly be. You have to learn how to read it in order to understand and appreciate the purpose of doing it. So I have embedded the same video. That same video is there here in the notes as well as on the other page. And then I went ahead and wrote out what the steps are. This teacher says that students should come into it showing no fear, meaning forget what you heard, just find the poetry. Accept that you're about to do poetry. Number 2, read the title. Just like if you were doing reading comprehension, always read the title. You don't have to go into making a prediction yet, but it's good to hear that title over and over again. Just think about it. Then, number 3, you do what I call a first read. You read the whole poem without anything. Don't make a mark, don't do anything, just read the poem. Then number 4, after you've read that poem, then you go back and start your annotation. You can now make a prediction about the title. Now you can go through and write down some things. You can circle words that you may not know. Just do a regular annotation. Number 5, once you've annotated, then you go back and look at the words that you highlight or you circled and you find out what the definitions are. As the teacher says in the video, it is very important for you to look at words that you don't know because that's what makes the poetry elusive. The authors know the words. Poets, their vocabulary is impeccable. It's basically a requirement for you to read and understand the words. Number 6, identify the narrator. Do not assume that the poet who wrote the poem is the one that's featured inside the poem. There are a lot of poems that I write, they're not always me talking. I have alter egos, meaning you say it in the voice of the person that you are writing about. So identify the narrator. Number 7, notice shifts or changes. There are little words that change the whole course of a piece of literature. By putting in however, but, those things are like negative shifts. They are telling you it's getting ready to go somewhere else. I used to use this example in English all the time. Like, it's great to wait on a stimulus check, but other countries are getting 2,000 a month and have been since 2020. You see my point? That shifted the whole thing. Yay, it's great we're getting a stimulus check for the first time since August or whatever that little $600 came. So you see how that goes? Or that could have been January. It didn't even feel like it. That's my whole point. But notice the shifts and the changes. Number 8, figure out the structure. This is where the vocabulary of poetry comes into as well. The literary vocabulary associated with poetry, such as rhyme scheme, rhythm, beat, meter, measure, assonance, alliteration, onomatopoeia. That's where those words come into play. Figurative language comes out in number 8, the structure. And then once you've done all that, then you read the poem again, but this time aloud. Not in your head, read it out loud. So your first activity today will be about those 9 steps. I, Miss Wall, will give you a poem and you will submit your annotated poem with all of your predictions and steps under the assignments tab. Here is the poem. So I put the poem here in blue. It's entitled The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. But then if you go down, you'll see a next button. So click on next. I've made it an assignment and I've put it in a document. It says follow the steps according to the YouTube video and the notes on poetry to do the assignment. And so I've given it to you. You're going to have to use the technique that Gloria was talking about in the beginning of the year so you can have access on writing this. You're not going to answer this technically, figuratively speaking. You are going to do steps 1 through 9. So when you get access to writing on this, just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and do it in that manner. Okay? So you say, Miss Wall, number 1 says, show no fear. Right. You're not really going to have an answer for number 1. But you do have evidence of like number, let's back up. You're going to have evidence of questions needed for like number 4. You're going to have that poem annotated. And number 5, you're going to have definitions that can definitely be answered. Number 6 can be answered. Number 7 can be answered. And number 8 can be answered. So 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are truly what you are answering. Okay? And then you go back to next. And then you go to that assignment. And then at the end of you answering number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, then it says read this article. And so there's an article here about why Robert Frost wrote the poem. Does his reasoning and confession match what you initially thought? Read it, explain your thoughts in a 5 to 7 sentence paragraph in the discussion board, and then as your peers write responses, comment under their responses whether you agree or disagree, and then click like on at least 2 of them. Here's the article. Here's Robert Frost and read as to why he wrote the poem. And then see if the answers match your answers. And if they do, then guess what? You are successfully reading poetry. And that's the end. I'll see you guys in class.